Okay, good afternoon. Myself Santosh Purkar. So today's topic is smart object. So it is from the section of ubiquitous computing, that from the previous video. What do you mean by the smart object? What do you mean by the smart object and the need? The need of smart object is that means basically while you are working in case of ubiquitous environment, so you need that device need to be smart. It need to be intelligent. Smart and intelligent. How this is possible? Smart means it is effectively, with quick, it will be responsive. That is nothing but smart one. And it is all the way, it is connected with some, it is having the mechanism of some algorithm, some schematic, some systematic algorithm that gives you output in a particular, in an accurate manner. That is smart one. Intelligent, how intelligently it will be collected, how intelligently it is collected, and it will be responsive. Intelligently collecting and responsive. Based on the actuator, it will be giving the response. Based on the scenario, it will be just activating certain features, extend the read cycle, extend the write cycle if needed. So that is the intelligent one. So smart and intelligent, that seems to be somewhat little bit different in this scenario. So we are talking for a smart object, smart device, intelligent device, rather to say that way, for the purpose of ubiquitous computing. So smart object. So every device, every user, every device that will be helping for the user for cognitive record, that device must be smarter. What is that? Smarter? It is a low power, idle expectation. It consumes low power. It having that high computing capability. Some moderate good storage, you can say moderate storage, that must respond in a quicker manner. Settling time of the device, that seems to be low, very low. So it can be settled down from one scene to another scene without taking any delay. Without due delay, it will be responsive. Responsiveness, settling time, and good storage, moderate storage, that is expected. We are talking for a low power and high computing. They seems to be somewhat controversy with each other. If it is low power, it will be having some minimum computing capability. So this high computing, that seems to be somewhat violate the rule. So it must be having, or it will be supporting with the embedded system. Embedded system, again minimum computing facility, minimum, or you can say moderate. But as far as the need of ubiquitous computing concerned, this must be capable to activate or to actuate or to work as good as your desktop computer. No doubt, not for scientific calculation or that, not for any other unwanted things, but whatever the important that machine learning related algorithm that to be run, for that the appropriate computing capability must be supported by this particular device. What is this high computing capability? So basically computer. So computer is nothing but the device. For that we are providing certain input that have certain processing mechanism that gives you certain output. Input, processing, and then there is a certain output. So that is a computer. Again, it is with a digital media, with the digital information that will be communicating with each other. So digital input, processing, and the digital output. Again, based on ADC, DAC, you can convert that output and that activity as per your need. So computer. Same way for smart device, this device must be able to get input, must be able to catch input, must be able to process the input, must be able to give you output. What is this input? This input is nothing but from the sensor. Smart device is well acquainted with the sensing device, sensing element, sensing transducer, transduction. So any non-electrical quantity converted to electrical, and any normal activity or that electromechanical activity, that will be converted in the form of some electrical responses, in the form of some 1010 language or that code, or in the form of some values. That is nothing but sensor. So your smart device must be acquainted with a sensor that must be able to process appropriately. That processor can be like DSP, that can be ASIC, that can be different, that processing FPGA, that CPLD and all that, but ASIC seems to be preferred in case of processing environment. What about output? That output is normally in the form of digital, but this output normally provided to the actuator, to the actuator, to the actuator. What do you mean by actuator? Actuator can be relay, it can be switch, it can be buzzer, it can be some connected with some speaker, some flap here and there. So that seems to be the actuator. So your smart device must be able to handle your actuator efficiently, effectively, quick. That is the smart one, and that must be able to sense information from certain distance, 50 feet, 15 feet. Up to that, it can be it is able to record. So that is nothing but that is input. So it is your sensor must have. What is that? Sensitivity, selectivity. Your sensor not to record noise, not to record any error, not to record any unwanted thing. Sensitivity, very weak signal that seems to be understood by your sensor. That material choose for this particular sensor that seems to be somewhat high quality. Refractive index, it's that permeability that seems to be taken into consideration for this material selection. Then apart from this, you need to have this is miniaturize, small in size. Sensor need to be small in size, but this particular technology that seems to be in the growing market, this miniaturization seems to be that improved day by day. So you need to choose some miniaturized sensor, that small size sensor, tiny sensor. Sensor can be like you are that wearing your jacket, you are wearing your any bracelet. So that size, that small size sensor, that single that hair shape, that sensing element or that cable that seems to be there. So that miniaturized one, that is low power. And again processing. So your sensor must be able to process normal embedded that 1 kilo 2 kilo code or 1 kilo 2 kb code, 1 kb 2 kb code immediately appropriately with the support of J2ME, with the support of some emulator. You are able to monitor the activity. So all that is possible with the help of this particular scenario. So this your smart device must have appropriate sensing capability, processing capability, actuation capability. So this actuator that is nothing but the response, final output response. This actuator seems to be somewhat that will be less consuming power. It is energy efficient one. It consuming less power. It is somewhat appropriate, accurate, and there won't be any residue. Any residual changes that seems to be reflected towards the sensor, or it will be informing towards the sensing device. This is all about what do we mean by sensor or what do we mean by smart object. Thank you for the today's session. Thank you.